my teacher told us to copy down notes and write it down and all. And then my mum said I need longer to write down notes and all. She pulled me in front of the class and said to the whole class, and like, why did you call your mum call and all that? And then
How does that make you feel?
awful. And then a couple times it's like we had to read something and present it up in the class, and I couldn't read one thing. And then she shouted, "You obviously can't read, so sit down."
I did work like the teacher told me to do, but then the teacher said it wasn't good enough, so she ripped my work up and told me to do it
In front
again.
of the class?
Yeah, and then sent me home to do it at home.
So did Mum do it for you?
No, my mum called the school and had to go.
We know how to screen for dyslexia. We know how to identify dyslexia. It usually is identified most often nowadays. The difficulty is then the provision isn't there to meet the need of the dyslexic child in a timely fashion. And typically the problems will start to emerge in primary 2, and typically you'll be in P5 or P6 before intervention comes, if it comes, and it may not be sustained intervention. So what happens then, you've taken away from that child their ability to learn to read and write, even though they're capable of doing so. And that has a massive effect on self-esteem, and then starts to show itself in behavioural difficulties often. And to me, that's unforgivable, and we've tried to tackle that for years. We've taken court action all the way to the Court of Appeal, and we still couldn't get it resolved. And the department was criticised by the Court of Appeal for not funding dyslexia services, but nothing changed substantially that I can see on the ground. I'm still getting the same calls today that I would have been getting 10 years ago.
When you go to a teacher and you say, "There's something wrong with my child," and they say, "No, there's no problem," part of you wants to, part of you's relieved, and part of you wants to say, "Brilliant, I've done my job, I've asked, you've said there's no problem." But as a parent, and when you're going for the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 20th time, and you're being, you're then starting to be met with hostility when you're having the same conversations over and over and over again. We were raising concerns from P1, and Rowan didn't get his statement of special educational needs until he was in P5.
I feel quite bad because now, and I've said this to Jodie, I'm from a therapy background, so I work at the health service. I have never shouted at a patient, never. And I've worked with adults, and it's language impairment and cognitive impairment and all of that. I have shouted at my...
Yes, I know, but it's too difficult.
It's too difficult.
It's human nature.
That's why I think in England, where they do have the phonics checks in place, which seems like, yay, great, that's what we want. They're not doing anything with it. So they're just checking for the phonics and not taking it to the next level and not applying it in their teaching and using the results to guide their instruction. And that's where it falls short. So it's not enough to just say, a phonics check.